In my eyes, this man is not someone worthy of being our father, and through his actions, I'm sure you guys can all tell that he has conveyed that he didn't see himself in that role either. So much so that he raised my little sister, his own daughter, for years, threatening and stripping away the innocence of an 11-year-old girl.
The coming of the next president, that they're not going to be kind to people with any kind of background like this.
And you just heard from the brave daughter who is standing up on behalf of her sister because, frankly, no one else would. It might freak you out to find out that this monster, he was only just sentenced 2 years before this parole hearing, October 18th, 2022. Now, this smoke and mirrors DA, the two-faced judges and DA, they said, you know what? We're going to sentence you to 20 years in prison. Yes, sir. But wait, don't worry. All of it's going to be suspended except for 7 years. Oh, and you'll get parole eligibility after you served about half of it, plus good time. So just a couple years after sentencing, you'll get your parole hearing. Let's give you a good old pat on the back and send you on your way. And to add further insult to injury, if that's even possible, one of the board members, Mike Pohl, he cites that the upcoming president, because keep in mind, this parole hearing happened on December 13th, 2024. So he cites that a new president is coming into office, and he doesn't like people with these kind of offenses in their jacket. And frankly, that statement is so bizarre. This is an apolitical channel, but I sincerely hope that we always have a president that does not like people who have those type of offenses in their jacket. Now let's jump into the hearing and I'll unpack it at the end.
Rutilio Pérez Martínez, 436853.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Rutilio Pérez Martínez, unit number 436853. He is serving a sentence of 20 years executed suspended after 7 years jail with 20 years probation for 2 counts of illegal sex. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of August 25th, 2024. There is victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has to show that the offender has completed the short-term sex offender program. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the SRT falls within the low range of risk of recidivism. Utilizing the static 99R, the offender's overall score for sexual offense recidivism falls within the low range. This is your opportunity to express support why you believe you should use exit parole.
Bueno, yo creo que en primer lugar mi sentencia fue totalmente injusta, ¿verdad? Porque lo que pasó en mi caso fue de que yo le confesé a mi ex esposa de que dejé de amarla y como consecuencia vino esta acusación donde ella manipuló el sistema de la corte y utilizando a mi hija menor para hacer esto.
Un momento para poder traducir a ellos, ¿ok? So I believe that first of all, my sentence was not fair. What happened was that I confessed to my ex-wife that I stopped loving her. And that's when all this thing happened with the law. She used my daughter to manipulate the situation. ¿Para manipularlo usted?
Manipuló a la corte y a mis hijos para hacer esto.
She manipulated the court system and my children to do this.
Okay, Mr. Martinez, can you you can continue with your statement, but can you just stop briefly so that she can interpret for us, please?
Okay.
Ella dice que pues, si puede hacer pausa para yo poder traducir, por favor.
Está bien. A partir de eso, yo fui a la corte para tratar de apelar. Yo di mi testimonio en la corte, pero el juez no me creyó. Yo consideré de que hubo un estado racial porque el estado de Connecticut le da prioridad cuando es el testimonio de una mujer.
I went to the court because I tried to appeal to the judge about what happened. I gave my testimony, but they didn't believe me. And I think it was one of the reasons was because it has something to do with her being a woman. They will prioritize her testimony.
Y también me sentí, era mi primera vez, este es mi primer caso. Entonces, cuando yo fui a la corte, el juez el que me sentenció me dijo que si no agarraba la cantidad que me estaba ofreciendo, me iba a dar 135 años. Para mí eso fue una amenaza completamente a mi vida. Entonces, no tuve
This is my
opción.
first case. This is my first case, and the sentencing judge told me that if I didn't plead guilty or take the deal, I was gonna get 135 years in prison, and for me that was a threat. Continúe.
Yo sé que yo fui afectado, pero los más afectados aquí son mis hijos, porque a veces una mujer por celos hace este tipo de cosas, pero no piensa en las consecuencias. Posteriormente, ella manipuló el sistema civil de la corte también para quedarse con todo lo que yo había trabajado por 20 años.
Un momento, por favor. I know that I was affected by this situation, but the ones that were mostly affected was my children. She used the court system to manipulate the situation. Sometimes a person who feels jealous can do certain things, and she ended up staying with everything that I worked for the last 20 años, 20 years.
So,
Sí.
Ms. Rivera, will you please remind Mr. Martinez that the question was, why do you deserve parole, not whether I'm guilty or innocent? Thank you.
Bueno, en primer lugar, yo creo que nadie se merece el privilegio que le están dando si uno es culpable, pero yo creo en la justicia de este país y yo siempre he sido una persona de que me he enfocado en el progreso para mi familia y posteriormente quiero continuar con lo de mi compañía que tenía empezado. Tengo un nuevo plan de trabajo para continuar y darle una mejor posibilidad a mis hijos.
I believe that nobody deserves this privilege if you are guilty, but I believe that this court system is just, and I also want to keep providing for my family. I want to keep working in my business.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martinez. So what's going to happen is each of us will take opportunities to ask you some questions. When we are done with our questions, we will deliberate and then we'll give you our decision, okay?
Para lo que va a suceder, Mr. Martinez, le vamos a hacer una serie de preguntas y luego de eso vamos a deliberar en su caso.
Thank you. Mr. Poole will begin with the questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Mr. Perez Martinez.
Good morning.
Yes, señor Martinez.
So I'm taking a look at your case here. The two offenses that you're incarcerated for at this time, they're the only two offenses you have outside of motor vehicle infraction. Is that correct?
¿Es esto correcto?
Es correcto.
Okay, and you're 47 years old, right?
Usted tiene
Sí.
47 años.
Okay.
Sí.
Inside you have, appears to be like a minor violation for, or disciplinary report for violation of unit rules.
Lo único que veo es una violación menor por una infracción disciplinaria a una violación a las reglas de la unidad.
And that was prior to your sentence.
Y eso fue previamente.
Sí.
Yes.
You can just tell me what happened there real quick?
¿Me podría decir qué sucedió?
Bueno, una de las cosas es que como yo manejo siempre todo, manejaba, cuando estaba fuera todos los días por el asunto de mi negocio, yo tenía que estar manejando y a veces uno se descuida y comete estas cosas.
So what happened before, I used to drive on a daily basis because of my job. And sometimes what happens is just that you get, you're not careful and things like this happen.
No, I meant the disciplinary report from November of 2021.
Me refiero a su reporte de disciplina de noviembre del 2021.
Es algo que no recuerdo muy bien. Yo sé que son cosas que pasaron, pero no recuerdo muy bien. Lo recuerdo muy bien.
That is something that I do not remember very well.
And they don't have an official
Description.
piece in there, right? So when it comes to programming, you're currently in GED classes?
En referencia a programas que está tomando las clases ahora mismo para el GED,
Sí, estoy trabajando en eso.
yes, I am working on that.
How far along are you?
¿Cuán avanzado usted está en esto?
Bueno, estoy a punto de tomar los primeros exámenes. Yo sé que es un trabajo largo, pero estoy trabajando en matemática, que es el más fuerte, y estoy a punto de lograrlo. Y primero Dios, quiero terminar con eso, si es posible. Si no lo termino aquí, pues quiero continuar con eso afuera también.
I am about to start taking my first test.
First test?
I am doing the math right now. That is the more complicated one, but I am working hard on that.
Yes,
And
it's
if
so
I cannot finish here, then I am planning on finishing outside in the community.
Okay. And you have also taken the short-term sex offender program. Is there anything that you learned from that program that you can apply to your life today?
Sí, yo sé que el programa ese es beneficioso para toda persona porque a uno le enseñan a cuándo tomar un autocontrol de una persona cuando está en una situación como la acusación que ellos me hicieron, ¿verdad? Entonces,
That program is very, it's really a benefit for people. It teaches you how to have self-control when you face a situation like the one that I faced. Continúe.
también algo que me enseñó eso es cómo reconocer los momentos donde una persona tiene que hacer como un stop para en una situación o evadir una situación.
Also, I was able to understand how to recognize times when you need to avoid certain situations.
Y también cómo evadir una situación como esa.
How to avoid a situation like this.
You know that either on parole or on probation, you're going to have to take the community-based treatment for private sexual behavior, correct?
Sí, está bien, estoy de acuerdo con eso.
Yes, that's okay, and I agree with that.
And I'm looking at your evaluations for a student and in the kitchen. It's a kitchen worker. Both are excellent. The latest reports are both excellent, which is very good. And go ahead.
Es lo que normalmente hago. También he estado dando estudios bíblicos que que siempre hacía desde que estaba afuera. Iba a una iglesia que se llama Iglesia de Cristo y estudié para dar clases bíblicas. Entonces también estaba dando clases bíblicas en la cárcel. A veces cuando hay personas que están a punto de tomar decisiones como suicidio y todo eso, pues entonces yo trataba de ayudar a eso. A veces lo hago en las tardes o en las noches después.
Por favor, señor Perez, is that what I'm doing? I was also doing Bible studies outside. When I was in the community, I was going to the church that is called Iglesia de Cristo. So I basically can offer Bible studies to other people, and I was doing that as well in the prison, sometimes in the afternoon, helping people, sometimes people who wants to take their life.
You can continue. You have to remember that she's trying to tell us what you're saying, so you have to just take breaks in between what you're telling her.
Oops, I'm sorry.
¿Puede continuar?
Sí. Estaba esperando la pregunta de él, pero me iba a decir algo.
I was waiting for the question. I thought he was gonna say something to me.
I just wanted to continue on. So you know that you're facing a deportation, right?
Usted sabe que usted se enfrenta a una deportación.
Sí, es correcto.
Yes, that's correct.
And if that doesn't occur, you plan to you plan to sponsor to a friend in New Haven?
Y esto no sucede, usted piensa ir a casa de un amigo en New Haven.
Sí, hay una persona que es mi amigo y él decidió ser mi sponsor y dio su dirección para eso.
Yes, there is someone that is my friend and he is going to be my sponsor.
So is that somebody you know from church?
¿Es alguien de la iglesia?
No, esa es una amigo de los de afuera, no de la iglesia necesariamente.
No, it's not related to church. It's just a friend from outside.
Okay. And you've you have a good deal of background in landscaping, and that's what you want to do?
Usted tiene su experiencia previa en el área de jardinería o landscaping, y eso es lo que piensa hacer.
Sí, es correcto, ya.
Yes, that's correct.
The only other thing is, if you're allowed to stay in this country and you're granted parole or probation, you know that you're not going to be able to be around minors without parole officer's permission, right?
Sí, yo entiendo eso hasta que se aclare mi situación, porque también estoy peleando en la corte con la evidencia para que se haga justicia en cuanto a mi caso.
Yes, I understand that until I am able to get all of this clear, because I am going to the court when it comes to my case.
Okay. And just for the record, I really didn't get into questions on the offense because up front, it's just denied the whole thing. So if you want to prolong just what he said to begin with.
Thank you.
So I'll set Madam Chair.
Thank you. You want to relay that to him? Thank you. So, Mr. Perez, just to piggyback off of what the questions that my colleague asked you, let's start with the detainer piece. Have you had any hearings about your deportation?
No, todavía no, pero sí mi abogado está al tanto del caso.
Not yet, but my lawyer is aware of this case.
What does that mean?
¿Qué significa esto?
Eso significa de que cuando me toque ir a corte, él estará presente para llegar a una solución a esto.
That means that once I have to go to court, my lawyer is going to help me see if we can resolve this situation.
So you're hoping to be able to stay in the United States?
Usted entonces piensa tratar a ver si se puede quedar aquí en los Estados Unidos.
Esto es lo que estoy pensando porque tengo dos, cuando la corte me sentenció, yo tenía dos hijos que estaban viviendo en mi casa y la otra parte, la que me estaba acusando, sacó a esos mis hijos y los echó a la calle. tengo que tratar la manera de ver dónde están y si están bien o a ver qué se puede hacer por ellos. Pero primero tengo que arreglar mi situación con la corte.
Discúlpame, ¿quién los echó a la calle?
¿Perdón?
¿Quién los echó a la calle?
La parte que me acusó a mí,
Yes, that's what I am thinking to do because I have two of my children were living in my house when this happened. And the person who accused me, she kicked them out of the house. And I need to try to help them.
como le dije, primero tengo que arreglar la situación en la corte.
But first I need to solve this situation through the court.
Well, there's more than likely you're going to be deported before you can get this case, this charge overturned.
Lo más seguro, usted podría ser deportado antes de que este caso se pueda revocar o arreglar.
So let's talk about your treatment. You talked about that with my colleague. Was that the sex offender program, was that in Spanish?
Acerca del tratamiento, el programa de defensor sexual fue en español.
Fue en inglés, pero yo entiendo inglés un 95%. Yo entiendo en inglés 95%. Casi todo las explicaciones que dieron fueron excelentes y me gustó ese programa.
It was in English, but I understand, I would say about 95%. So I was able to understand almost everything, and I really liked that program.
So why then did was it reported to us that you failed to complete the assignments? You said that you really did not have any problems like this, so you were not really engaged in your treatment.
¿Y por qué fue que recibimos un reporte que usted falló a completar dos de las asignaciones? Porque usted mencionó que usted no tenía problemas de esta naturaleza, de esta índole.
Efectivamente, no fue que le haya fallado, sino que cuando ella me estaba explicando lo del programa para qué era, entonces yo le había dicho a ella, a la maestra que estaba dando la clase, que esa parte del programa porque como era como directa a la clase, entonces yo decía que yo no era culpable del todo, o sea, como lo que ella estaba haciendo para ese programa, pero como sea, yo lo tomé y fue beneficioso para mí.
It was not that I failed. I was explaining to the teacher that part of the program, when he was talking in the class, I explained to her that I was not guilty. That's what I was trying to tell her. But I participated from the program, and I think it was very beneficial.
I never said that you failed the program. I'm saying that when they try to help you with your homework assignments and things of that nature, you really wouldn't follow through because you felt as if you didn't have an issue. And the reason why I make that statement is because you told my colleague that you had no problem with doing the program out in the community. And if you take that same approach while you're out in the community with that treatment, you're going to be in it for a very long time. And just so that you know, Mr. Martinez, our jobs here today are not to determine your guilt or innocence. You pled guilty in the court, and according to, and for us, you were guilty of this crime, and we are measuring your suitability. So one more thing, I'm looking at your PSI, and this PSI has some very intimate details about the assaults that your children say that they suffered at your hands. Do you know why a 7-year-old or an 11-year-old would know about anal sex or vaginal sex?
Sí, eso se ve imposible, ¿verdad? A menos de que alguien se lo explique cómo decirlo a una corte o cómo decirlo a un oficial. Eso es lo único a la deducción que yo llego, de que eso por su propia cuenta no lo hubiese hecho, sino que alguien que habérselo
It's
explicado.
impossible unless someone explains those things to them. It is impossible.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Sasser?
Thank you. Mr. Perez Martinez, my colleagues have asked most of the questions, but I was concerned about the threats from your family members and the contact that you tried to make to your family from jail. Can you talk about that? Why you would make contact and why your family members would be contacting the victims?
Efectivamente, quería aclarar ese punto porque, para empezar, mi familia, mis padres son ya unas personas muy mayores y es imposible que mi familia haga esto. De esta forma, ella está manipulando a la corte. Cuando a mí me dijeron que yo había tratado de contactar a la otra parte, el oficial que hizo la investigación determinó que en ningún momento hubo contacto, sino que yo perdí toda la información.
You have to wait a minute, sir.
I wanted to clarify this situation because my parents, they are elderly and it's impossible that they are going to be doing this. And then when it was about me getting in contact with my family, the officer, when they completed the investigation, they concluded that it was not true. El oficial concluyó que no era cierto que usted se estaba comunicando con ellos.
Sí.
What report concluded something was not true?
¿Qué fue la investigación que concluyó que esto no era cierto?
Porque ella dijo a la corte que yo la estaba contactando y cuando yo no tenía acceso ni a mi propio celular, donde yo no sé el número de teléfono, porque ellos se cambiaron de compañía de teléfono, es lo que yo tengo entendido.
She
So, yo
told
no
the
tengo
court that I
acceso
was
a
trying
nada.
to get in contact. She told the court that I was trying to get in contact with her when it was not true. I didn't even have access to a cell phone at the moment. I didn't know the number because my understanding is that they changed cell providers.
So you talked about finding the woman who had the 2 additional children outside of your marriage. You do understand that you can't have contact with those minors as part of this without parole or probation supervision.
Sí, yo entiendo eso, a menos de que la corte dé autorización, yo entiendo perfectamente eso.
Yes, I perfectly understand that I need to be authorized by the court.
I have no other questions, Madam Chair. Thank you. So at this time, Mr. Martinez, we're going to turn the hearing over to the Office of Victim Services for victim input. We ask that you please not interrupt and please give the victim respect while we listen to the statement. Good morning, Ms. Vasquez.
Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. We have a victim that is connected via conference call and wishes to address the board. This is your opportunity for you to express to the board your wishes and concerns. At this time, please unmute your microphone by pressing *6, and you may begin when you're ready.
Okay, I hope you guys can hear me. So I'm just going to start off by saying that I came here to speak today on behalf of my little sister, who is the victim. In this case, I am the daughter of Rutilio Perez Martinez. Rutilio was someone who I looked up to all my life, despite his numerous mistakes towards our family. He was the reason, He was the reason I worked so hard in everything that I did. I'm hoping that one day it'd be enough for him to notice. Needless to say, though, what I'm sharing with you today is not an easy thing to do. I should be here as a daughter advocating for my father, the man that I've idolized since I could last remember. Instead, I'm here as a daughter pleading that this man does not have the opportunity to hurt our family any more than he already has. In my eyes, this man is not someone worthy of being our father, and through his actions, I'm sure you guys can all tell that he has conveyed that he didn't see himself in that role either. So much so that he raised my little sister, his own daughter, for years, threatening and stripping away the innocence of an 11-year-old girl. It is easy for one to see his actions and the time spent now in prison and believe that he could be a changed man. However, none of those prison guards have seen the way in which my little sister's spark has disappeared, and neither has he. My sister's suffering is not something that could be manipulated or faked. Even years after, my little sister suffers from gender dysphoria, PTSD, anxiety, and depression. She wakes up in the middle of the night sobbing and screaming. She self-harms, and she is fearful of a man's gaze in any situation that could bring her back to those disgusting moments against her will with Rutilio. I have had to be there for every moment that she has tried to take her own life because the memory of what this man did to her is too much to bear. My little sister has been hospitalized for weeks on end numerous times due to this and her lack of desire to keep fighting. As if my sister's suffering was not enough, Rutilio's lack of empathy and remorse has continuously been brought to our attention over the years. Despite being behind bars, he has not failed to break laws and reach out to my mother through fake names and aliases, threatening her, threatening his own children due to his uncontrollable anger. He has attempted to lie to authorities and press charges based on his own delusions, again due to his lack of self-control. He has sent out his own family members and friends to harass my mother on social media and through all means necessary. He has constantly perpetuated this fear with the help of others to torment my mother and my family by threatening his release, promising that he'll be released and all hell would be to pay. All of which has been reported to lawyers, and you guys have also brought up today. Throughout my life, I have learned that this man is dangerous. He is a pathological liar to the core, something that I've experienced firsthand my whole life, and he's a danger to himself and to society. I guess my last question to you all is, how many more children and women will he have to rape and molest for others to also get that message? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is all that I have for this case.
Thank you, Ms. Vasquez. So at this time, Mr. Martinez, we are going to deliberate. Would you like the interpreter to interpret to you what the victim has shared, or did you understand?
Yo entiendo lo que ella estaba leyendo, porque si usted se da cuenta, a ella le escribieron.
No. That's a yes or no.
Sí, le entendí.
I understood.
Okay. All right. So at this time, we are going to deliberate, Mr. Martinez. Give us a few minutes to talk about your case and we'll give you our decision. Okay?
Para liberar, Mr. Martínez, para deliberar en su caso.
Mr. Cole.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So where I am with this, let me just take a look at the case here. Mr. Perez Martinez rates out low and low moderate. In this case, has one disciplinary report pre-sentence that was for violation of unit rules. The part in
Why?
the,
Let's let Mr. Rivera interpret truthfully.
has, taken short-term treatment in the facility, as well as been a kitchen worker with excellent ratings and receiving excellent ratings in school. And he has a sponsor in the community and a job that he can return. He also has an immigration detainer. With the coming of the next president, that they're not going to be kind to people with any kind of background like this. And whether or not it's substantiated or not. So my belief is that Mr. Perez Martinez will be deported on his incarceration. We're dealing with 11 years old in 2020, now about 15, going through a lot of what she, a lot of things, right? That it appears that were caused by this offense. And the EOS on this is in the fall of 2027, which would give the victim in this case a few more years to emotionally mature and get some kind of additional support that she might need in this case. While on the surface here, everything says that Mr. Perez Martinez is somebody who is suitable for parole. In this particular case, I think that affording the victim a couple of more years, knowing that she can't be
Access.
is what would be the appropriate thing.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Rivera. So, Mr. Martinez, can you understand us? Because it's very, for her to write everything that we're saying is very difficult, but can you understand, I mean, not difficult, but if you understand us, she doesn't have to interpret what we are saying.
Sí, yo entendí perfectamente. También pude notar de que ella, a pesar de que ella tiene 22 años, porque tiene 22 años.
No, that question wasn't for you to rebut anything that has been said. It was a simple yes or no.
Yes.
Simplemente sí o no.
And so is he okay with us deliberating without your translation?
¿Está bien usted que ellos sigan deliberando sin yo traducirle?
Sí.
Thank you. Okay. So, Miss Sasso, sorry.
So this is complicated because of the detainer and the language barrier, which could or could not have contributed to the lack of program participation. But from a suitability standpoint, despite the fact that he is claiming innocence, I have not seen any level of responsivity in terms of the programs and the offender change. Citing self-control, knowing self-control as an outcome of the sexual offender program is not something that I think would be beneficial moving forward. So I do not find him suitable for release at this time.
Okay. And our reasons injury and impact to our victim and the nature and circumstance. Okay. So with regard to Rutilio Perez Martinez, 436-853, I move to deny discretionary parole for the following reasons: the injury and or impact to the victim and or the victim's family, and the nature and circumstance of your offense. You will not receive a new hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Did you understand, Mr. Martinez?
Entiende, Mr. Martinez.
Sí.
Okay, so you were denied. We couldn't support your discretionary parole today. Good luck to you, sir.
Rutilio Perez Martinez.
Porque la audiencia de Rutilio Pérez Martínez, número 46853.
You're all set. So will you ask the officer to send in the next person?
Thank you.
Thank God they denied parole. I have to tell you, my blood was boiling as this parole hearing progressed. But before we vent a little bit about Mike Paul, his incompetency, frankly, and just how absurd it was, right? Insane. You know what? Let me just get into that, actually. He starts off by not asking any questions about the offenses. And you hear him mutter to his parole board member why he's not going to. He said, well, he's denying everything, so why ask him any questions about his offenses? And he would have known that the victim was waiting on the line listening. Then he goes on to say, what kind of statement is this? The incoming president doesn't take kind to people with these type of offenses, so he's probably going to get deported. It's like, and this isn't the first case that we covered. We covered another case with a repeat chomo, someone who has multiple offenses in their jacket. When they were on parole after chomoing, they actually applied to be a job as a janitor in an elementary school. Then, after that happened, because that wasn't what got them relocked up, they offended again. And then on their parole hearing, they told the parole board that they can't promise they won't do it again. And in that hearing, they actually deliberately paroled. Well, they deliberately did everything they could in their power to prevent that man from being deported. So this was not a slip up of the tongue. This was not a one-off situation. This is twice now that we have found them protecting a chomo, or at least mentioning to protect the chomo from the incoming president, which is just nothing short of madness, in my opinion. Now, they did the right thing here. Even Mike Paul brings up he has someone that he can parole out to. Someone with too young. Can you imagine being locked up for these offenses? And he's already on the phone. He's already grooming. He's already dating a woman with 2 young children. Like, how are they not ripping into him for even doing that? That's just insane. He is the worst of the worst that society can provide. Someone who does it to their own child for years. And what does it take? It's not the DA, because they're pathetic and useless, waste, double-faced cockroaches themselves. It's not the judge. Let this monster get away with his pathetic sentence. Keep in mind, they claim they sentenced him to 20 years in prison. And he only needs to serve 7 of those years. He was sentenced October 18th, 2022. His parole hearing is January 13th, 2024. The ink has hardly dried, and the victim is already being afraid, terrified that her monster is going to get out of prison. He's getting out no matter what. 2/24 of 2028. And what is the only count that they even get him for? Illegal sexual contact. That is it. That's what's in his jacket. Those vague words, illegal sexual contact. Not SA, not aggravated SA. No, just a minor charge. I wonder how long he even needs to register for. You know, they didn't mention it, so it makes me wonder. Because we have seen many times in these cases that you only need to register for 10 years. And then on top of it, of course, this is no shock to us who knows anything about the system. He's rated a low risk on the static 99 to reoffend. Because anybody who does this to their biological children is a low risk to reoffend. We all know that. Just, you know, it's obvious, you know, we shouldn't question the PhDs. We shouldn't question those put in charge to protect us. Nothing going on here. He's low risk. Trust us. 5 in the morning. I'm recording this. Then we have the survivor, well, the sister survivor who comes up. What probably one of the most, I mean, I feel like I say this, one of the most powerful statements we've heard, so profoundly stated, not a word wasted, and just delivered with such grace and accuracy, something that a DA could never do. And they can't even take the time to write in a letter or show up. And she states, like, you need to protect other children. This is my father. She calls him out for everything this POS is. It was beautiful. And her sister is very blessed to have her. You're doing a good job. You're doing better than all these pathetic judges and DAs that are put in charge to protect us. She has more bravery and more grace and a better understanding of what's right and wrong than they have. Again, think about having the PSR report. Think about knowing, we've seen enough of these court proceedings to know what it takes for a DA and a judge to agree on a plea deal for a monster like this. Now, I checked direct. He's still locked up, right? He hasn't been deported yet. He will get deported when he gets out. But that doesn't make me sleep any better at night. He's only going to now have more access to children, probably easier access. And he's going to be harming and destroying lives for the rest of his life. Let that sink in. Now, when you let that sink in, how can you live with yourself as a DA or a judge? How can you go to sleep at night and put your head on the pillow and say, I did the right thing here? Because deportation, it will protect your constituency. But what about all the potential victims that you are releasing this monster onto? It's so literal and clear and obvious. How can you sleep at night? How would you not say, no, not on my watch, not on my conscience. I am going to put you away for life. Yeah, we have to go to trial. And that's a tough decision. I understand that the survivor will have to take the stand. But if you don't want to go to trial, if you want to play devil's advocate and say you don't want to do that, then you play a harder ball. You don't do 20-year sentence with 13 years suspended, 7-year sentence and parole eligibility after serving less than half of it. let him settle for just risk of injury to a minor charge. It's insane. And it wasn't his first trip on the rodeo. He has a rap sheet. I mean, this was back when, before Lady Holly came and looking at Sir Richard's spreadsheet. He has a legal operating motor vehicle, driving while suspended license. I guess that's it. Now, here's the thing. This isn't the first time that this parole board actually, like I said, tried to protect Chomo Roach. I covered this hearing before, and it actually got media attention and made the rounds. There's a chance you've seen it, but YouTube also totally shadow banned it. And they do that from time to time for these type of hearings. But it was covered by an investigative reporter, and here, let me share it with you. It was covered by the Daily Wire, and I could just, guys, stay apolitical for a moment. I support any article that will focus on protecting our children, any news agency. We could just stay apolitical for a second, okay? And by this reporter, Marie Elordi, February 25th, I know I butchered her name, but she was great. She saw that we had covered this crazy parole hearing of parole board members trying to protect this monster from being deported, even though he's a multi-offender against children. So they covered it, but it picked up some traction on Twitter and in the news, but still, it only has about 18,000 views. So being that between my two channels, I have almost 200,000 subscribers, even on Mandoo too, over 80,000 subscribers. That means that the majority of you still have not seen this hearing. So what we're going to do is I'll play it for you now. And with that, let's jump in.
So my take on this is that we parole them today, because I don't think they can't elect the Speaker of the House. I don't think the Trump administration is going to be in a position in the next 30 days, which is what they'll hold him to deport him. So I think that having the judge in place that can hear what Mr. Magliore has to say in an unbiased way would be a good thing. And obviously the hold on an ICE detainer is only 30 days, which means that if we parole him today, January 31st, that the state is no longer obliged to hold somebody past that date.
What you just saw is the Connecticut Board of Paroles trying to find a loophole to keep a repeat sexual offender, one who offends against children many times over the past 20 years. They are trying to find a way to keep him from being deported. You can't make it up. I was shocked when I saw this myself. I don't care what side of the aisle you are from. This is an apolitical statement. If there is someone who is offending against children time and time again, shows up at their parole hearing and states that they cannot guarantee that they won't do it again, and then you try to find a way not only to release him early, but to ensure that he remains in the country, this is something the world needs to know about.
My name is Gorino Maglore, and 255-393.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration for a parole application for Gorino Maglore, 255-393. He is serving a sentence of 10 years execution suspended after 5 years with 10 years of probation for sexual assault of second degree. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of May 23rd, 2023. There is no victim input in this case. The inmate was heard by the board previously on December 13th, 2023. He was denied parole with a new hearing date set for December of 2024. The board board recommended that the inmate transfer to a facility that's a sex offender program, complete poison, and remain DR-free. Since the last hearing, the offender has completed the following programs: voices and short-term sex offender program. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system scores, the offender's overall score for recidivism falls in the moderate range. There's also a static 99 score, which equals a 5, which is for the moderate/high range. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you think you should be granted parole. Again.
You can, do you have a statement for us, sir?
Yes, sir. I come here to speak to you, sir, and the ladies about how I feel and the reason that I'm here to for parole to see if I could be granted is because I'm very sympathetic about what I've done since I've been sitting for the 5 years in jail, almost 5 years in jail. I went through my programs. I've done everything that they have asked me to do. I don't get into fights. I don't get into arguments. I try to stay humble. I read my Bible. I did classes at Cheshire. I did carpentry at Cheshire. And I also has a job, a teaming job here that I've been doing also. I talk to my kids and stuff like that. They all missing me. My family miss me. They miss me for certain functions that I have not been around for. And then my nephews as well. And I feel so remorseful for the parent of the child that, I made a mistake on. And I would wish to, if she ever hear from you guys that, to tell her that I apologize for that. At the time, I wasn't thinking too well clearly, but since I've been in here and I learned about the sex behavior program and learn about the victims with the voices, that kind of gave me a clear mind to understand not to do the wrong from the bad. And that's the reason that I'm here, to see if there's any way possible God would bless you guys if you're able to allow me to go out to be with my family again. I can't say I promise that this not gonna happen, because that's not always a thing when you say, oh, I promise. No, I'm not gonna say I promise, but I will definitely try to do my best to keep myself away from situations like that again.
All right, Mr. Meglior, we've read about your background, what you've accomplished since you've been in, what you've accomplished since the last hearing. We're going to ask some questions. We're going to discuss your case and give you a decision, okay?
Yes, sir.
So this is a rehear. They heard you the first time, and they wanted you to take the short-term treatment program for problem section behavior, right?
Yes, sir.
So what did you learn in that program that would be your risk factors in terms of reoffending? What are risk factors?
Risk factors for me was the relapse of being around certain friends that was not good out there with me. That's one of them that I learned not to be around, friends hanging out.
Being around, like what friends?
Well, I have some friends like in Stanford, friends in New Haven and stuff like that that I've been around. They not really that good, like because all they do is like drink and hang out and don't really do much. So
So your problem is being around friends who are drinking. That means that you are.
Yes, I was before that.
So, okay. Okay, so then what was another one of the risk factors?
And the other risk factors is when I'm with friends drinking, I don't my mind is not clear of thinking when that happens, and that allows me to make mistakes that I should not be making. But as far as me being here, like I said, for almost 4 to 5 years, I've been sober and I've been sitting and thinking about it and beat myself down and remorsefulness of the victim and, you know, in that daughter of hers.
So drinking's the problem because when you drink to the point of intoxication and you commit offenses like this, right?
Yes, when I drink,
Not really.
Yes,
right. Not really a mistake. It's not really a mistake. It's I drank and then I sexually offend, right? That's what happened, right?
Well, I don't drink, sir, to just go and sexually offend. That's not exactly.
No, but that's what happens. Do you see how this works?
Yeah.
If I drink, my inhibitions go down, my head gets messed up, and now I'm offended against somebody. You follow that?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes, sir.
so then let's take a look at the mitigation when it comes to these risk factors. What are you going to do so that you don't drink and be around the people who are? What's the plan there?
Well, my plan, sir, is to continue being on my medication, which is working well for me, both of them, and to stay away from alcohol. That's really is my plan. I don't have no urges for it anymore since I've been inside, and really, I really don't want to touch it. I want people would tell me, you know, you could drink a little wine. I say to them, nope, I'm not touching nothing. I don't want anything.
Let's take a look at that for a second. How often did you drink when you were in the community?
Most of the time, like maybe 3, 4, 5 days out of the week.
Okay, so you know that what goes on there is you are consuming alcohol to the point that you're offending, right? So do you think you're an alcoholic?
Well, I mean, I was an alcoholic, sir.
What do you think would happen if you took a drink now?
If I take a drink, it's gonna bring me back to the way I was before, and I don't want to go back to that route, sir.
So, right. So the thing is like I used to be, that's not a thing. Because if I drink now, I'm going to do what I did before. Because I heard what you said in the beginning. I can't promise that, right?
Yes, I did say that I can't promise not making a mistake. Because
you follow that, right? So if I drink, that's a risk factor. I could be reoffending, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what do you do to take care of that? Have you gone to AA meetings at all?
Yes, I have done AA meeting in Cheshire when I was there like 3 years or so.
Are those helpful?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
So would you do that again when you go into the community?
Yes, I definitely would. I definitely would do that again.
It does a couple of things, right?
Yeah, it helps.
It
to
helps
keep
you
this-
with not drinking,
Yes.
but meetings out here aren't like meetings inside.
No.
Meetings out here, you find friends and people with common interests, one of which is they are all trying to not drink,
Yes. Yes,
right?
sir.
And to live the sober lifestyle.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Does that
sir.
make sense?
Yes, it is. It really makes
So-
sense to me.
Do you think that would be something that you would do?
Yes, sir. I definitely want to do that. Yes, sir.
So, I mean, that's because both of those risk factors, right? The
Yes.
friends group you choose
Yes.
and consuming alcohol gets
Yes.
us going down a road that,
Not supposed to go, sir. Yes,
Right.
you're right. You're right.
do you think there's any other things that you might want to do?
Yes, there's other things that I want to accomplish. I want to finish college. I was going to college for a while. I have grades in other how you call that other lessons and stuff that I needed to get done, that I have to go back and finish it so I can get that degree that I've been looking to get. And then also at the veterans groups and stuff that I go to, I usually mix in with the veterans, trying to help with certain things that they do for.
What veterans groups do you participate with?
I had participated in the behavioral group at the vets. I have participated in how you call it's like a when you meditating. I have participated in a meditation group.
Yeah. So is that at West Haven?
Yes, the one that was in West Haven. But I think they're in Orange now. They're not down. They used to be down on the Post Road, like going into New Haven. But I heard they moved now up towards Orange more.
So that raises a question for me, because what you told the parole officers that you'd be interested in a halfway house in Hartford.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you be interested in a halfway house in New Haven?
Well, I did put Hartford or Waterbury because those places also has the same facilities to help.
So you'd go to Newington. You'd go to Newington instead of West Haven.
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
I'm going to pass it on and see if any of the other board members have questions here. Board Member Perry, anything?
Thank you, Mr. Poole. So, Mr. Magalore, I had some issues, first of all, with the statement that you made. I can't promise that this is never going to happen again. That's very concerning to me as a board member, because while we know we want to make sure that this will never happen again. That's what we base our decisions on people who we believe will return to the community and be law-abiding, contributing members of our society. And for you to sit here and say that I can't make that promise, while I respect your being honest, I really struggle with that statement, because nobody else's child deserves to suffer through this ever again. And when my colleague talked to you about alcohol reducing your inhibitions, that is quite true. However, it lowers your inhibitions to a point where now you feel like it's okay for me to do these things that I was already thinking of prior to my being under the influence. Do you understand what I'm saying to you, sir?
Yes,
While this this helps you go on to that next step, makes you think that it's okay for you to do, you already have those thoughts in your head about sexually offending. So it's really important that you get to the bottom of why you behave this way and why when you drink alcohol, it makes it even worse. Kind of thing is what I'm trying to tell you. And I also read, I read that you have a detainer and that you're going to be deported back to Haiti. And you told us that you're afraid of going back to Haiti because you're afraid that you're going to be killed.
Yes, ma'am, because I raised here in the United States since I came when I was 11 and a half going on 12 in 1984. And
No, I understand that. But unfortunately, the person who's taking over our current administration, he's going to make sure that people like yourself are deported back. So it's really important, sir, that you try to at least get ahead of the curve because, you know, you will be returned. And I suggest that you get your affairs in order so that when you are over there, perhaps you can avoid some of that, you know, some of where you think you'll be assaulted or assassinated or but unless you have you started trying to fight your being deported?
yes, I have well, my son, and I have a person that I give power of attorney to down in North Carolina, is my daughter's aunt. She has power of attorney of over me right now. She's trying.
And what's going on with that? Has she started the paperwork already?
Yes, she had done the paperwork and she sent it to me. I already signed it and had it notarized, and I sent it. Yeah, I sent it back.
So you don't have a new hearing date?
What happened?
You don't have a new hearing date to meet with the ICE?
No,
people?
I haven't heard anything from them. I have not spoken to them, nor see them. My people's been trying to contact. They can't. They telling me something about wait till I go to the hearing date, but they have not given me any type of a hearing date.
It's unfortunate that, you know, I think that the moment that we say that you're going to be granted, or if we grant your discretionary parole, the process will begin. So,
but I really would appreciate. I know that you say they're gonna send me back, but the reason that I'm saying that I don't mind if you grant me, you know, the mistake that I've made before, and the reason I said
so Mr. Magalore, I want to be perfectly clear. Wave your arm because the light went off in that room that you're in. I want to be perfectly clear. If we grant your discretionary parole today, you'll be transported to a halfway house where you'll wait for ICE to pick you up and you will be returned. You won't reunite with your family. That's not going to happen, sir. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
So if we say we're going to vote you to parole today, that's what's going to happen. They're not going to give you time to fight a case. If the detainer is there, they're going to deport you.
Oh, so they're going to take me right back.
They're going to take you right back in a matter of days.
So even though the country is in turmoil the way it is,
that's not our concern. Fortunately, that's out of our control. Yeah. All right. I just wanted to, cross the T's and dot the I's because it is what it is.
Board Member Smith-Cohen.
I have no follow-up questions.
So where I am here is that the last hearing asked him to go do certain things, which he did. My exploring risk factors with him came down to concern over alcohol, which I am sure, based upon our training with the Center for the Treatment of Problem Sexual Behavior is something that they handle. And they will certainly explore and come up with ways of mitigating those risk factors. Where I am in this case, I think he's done everything that we have asked of him, and I would support his parole today. Board Member Bear.
Sir Chair, I too would support his discretionary parole. He has done what the prior panel asked him to do, and I do believe that he has earned discretionary parole. However, given our discussion that I just had with him about his being deported, I think that if that's not something that he really wants to happen, that his being there in the facility is not what he wants to happen either. However, I think he'd have a better chance of fighting his detainer there, opposed to being sent out of the country and trying to get back. So I mean, while I do appreciate the strides that he's made to turn his life around, I would deny his discretionary parole today to give him a little more time to focus on that detainer. That's where I am.
It's an interesting discussion. Right.
I can add a little bit to it.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So my take on this is that we parole him today, because I don't think they can't elect the Speaker of the House. I don't think the Trump administration is going to be in a position in the next 30 days, which is what they'll hold him to deport him. So I think that having the judge in place that can hear what Mr. Magliore has to say in an unbiased way would be a good thing. And obviously the hold on an ICE detainer is only 30 days, which means that if we parole him today, January 31st, that the state is no longer obliged to hold somebody past that date. Yes.
No, I was told 90 days.
No, it's definitely right on the detainer. The commitment's to hold for 30 days.
Oh,
so
you mean it's right? Okay.
Rather than hold him until November, because I do agree in terms of things. I don't want to make less of what happened in this offense.
No, of course not.
But I don't want to wait for 11 months to pass. Who knows what's going to happen?
Sir Chair, can I just recommend that we just take a brief recess just for a second so that we can check with the supervisor over the detainer piece? What is it? Interstate, yeah. So that we could just
Sure. Why don't we do that?
Yeah.
I take a motion to have a brief recess. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're still.
Where we are, I have no alcohol consumption.
So I just want to put on the record too, that I am also in favor of granting Mr. Magliore discretionary parole. He did complete the sex offender treatment program at the facility as the prior panel had asked. There is a summary that says he participated.
Yep.
He got all he could out of the program.
Yes.
There are some intellectual deficiencies that they think, may have interfered with some of the treatment pieces, but they do think that he got all he could out of it, and there is no other treatment for him in this respect at the facility.
Right.
He did do the Voices program. He has no disciplinary reports in the entire time he's been there.
Right.
So I would be willing to grant discretionary parole.
And Sir, if I can just on the
Sure, go ahead.
record as well, because I know that we took a brief recess because we were discussing what would be in the best interest of Mr. Magalore in terms of his detainer. And while we really didn't get any definitive information on what exactly is going to occur, I think that Mr. Magalore would have the best opportunity to dispute this immigration detainer if he is granted discretionary parole. So I would support discretionary parole as well.
As I would. I have no alcohol consumption,
Yes, sir.
halfway house placement,
Thank you. Thank you.
halfway house placement,
Mhm.
release the ICE detainer, problem sexual behavior treatment,
Mhm.
no contact
Yes.
with minors without parole officer's permission, and no
Yes.
contact with SM.
I have, did you say no alcohol
Yes.
Yes,
and mental health evaluation?
I did.
I'm sorry, Parole Supervisor Brooks.
I just want to invest in administrative, so it's not actually like
Okay. Perfect.
Just want to make that.
Thank you.
Okay. Some mental health evaluation.
I do have that, yes, these are 3, so yes.
Okay. So how do you say your first name?
Garino, sir.
Okay, in regard to Garino Magliore, 255-393, move to grant parole on or after December 31st, 2024, with the following stipulations. No
Thank you.
alcohol consumption, halfway house placement, mental health evaluation and treatment deemed necessary, release to ICE detainer, community-based treatment for problem sexual behavior, or problem sexual behavior treatment, no contact with minors without the parole officer's permission, and no contact with victim SM. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Mhm.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. And Mr. Magliore has been voted to parole.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you. I will not disappoint you again. I will not let this happen. I cannot be in here no more. I appreciate you. Thank you. God bless you guys.
We really wish you, best of luck, and we certainly
Yes.
hope that you'll be able to stay and go through treatment. And
Yes. Yes,
that,
I will. I'm gonna do the best like I've done here. I'm gonna go do my best to understand what I've been doing wrong so I can correct that. I appreciate you. Thank you for
Absolutely.
the chance.
Best of luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
And when you think you've seen it all, this is absolute madness. I could not believe what I was seeing when I first saw this. And again, this is not a political statement. This channel is apolitical. I do not care which side of the aisle you are from. There is no way that you would fight to keep a dangerous sexual predator in the streets. How is that possible? You can't make it up. If you did not see this, you would not believe that it just occurred. Do you know that he ranks a 5 on their static 9-9 risk score? We have never seen that. We have never seen a 5. You know that his record goes back. This is not the first time he has offended against children. He is a repeat offender. He comes into his parole hearing and he says, I cannot guarantee it won't happen again. And instead, what do? They go out of their way to find a way to keep him in this country? That makes no sense. Why? Because that country knows what community justice is, so he'd be in danger? He didn't even lay out any factual basis of any. He's been in this country for a very long time. He has served in the military. You know that what Sir Richard found. You want to hear how creepy, how scary, how dangerous this monster is? He tried getting a job working at an elementary school. So after he was already a convicted felon for doing things against children, when he was out and released, he was caught applying for a job in an elementary school. This person, this is all he can think and sleep and dream about. And what do? They don't even ask him about the court. This was one of the worst interviews we have seen a lot of bad interviews. Those of you who are new to this channel, a lot of times, oftentimes, those who hunt down children, you do have a mix. But many times they're very manipulative. They're very even articulate, or at least they think they are, and they put on a better front. This one, no, nothing. What's he say? He says he comes in without any really speech even planted. Remember, this isn't his first time at the rodeo. He has nothing to say. He has no, what's his apology? His apology is that the parent of the child I made a mistake on. That's who I apologize to. The parent of the child I made a mistake on. I can't promise I won't do it again, but I'll try my best. It was only in 2007 when police found that a registered sex offender had filed for a job as a janitor at the Newfield Elementary School. It actually got out to the parents, and that's how it even made the news, because the parents said, how is it possible? It wasn't that he just applied. They claimed that he had received the job, and the lines are blurry. There's only one article. I personally believe he probably did receive the job. And then it got out to the parents, and the school said, no. He only applied for the job. He showed up, but then left. Who do you want to believe? And it doesn't make a difference anyways. The bottom line is that after he was convicted of a sexual offense, he applied for that job. And this was in 2007. Remember, this recent offense only came 5/14/2021 was when he was incarcerated for sexual assault second. He was convicted first of injury or risk of injury to a child, impairing the morals of children on May 6, 1998. He was paroled in 2001 for that, again, because it's just a child, so you don't serve real time. And then in 2007, 6 years after getting paroled, he's applying for a job at an elementary school. And now here we have on 5/14/2021, again, sentence for a child. And if you think that these are the only times that he committed a crime against a child, but the parole board, they are placed in charge to make common sense decisions to keep our community safe. And what do? Instead of handing him over to ICE with the big disclaimer saying this man is dangerous, he learned nothing in his programs. He has no remorse. As a matter of fact, from his mouth to our ears, he says that he can't control himself. He might make a mistake again. He will try his best. And they need to take those words and they need to package it, and they need to say, ICE, you better be careful. You better make sure he goes overseas. And now I'll have to admit that I don't believe that any children in other countries are less sacred than children in this country. And truthfully, so sending him out there where he will have probably a broader license to offend, but I don't really know. Frankly, I don't know how it works. And where I really don't know. But it wouldn't make me feel better with him going there. I would just be terrified because there are other children that will get hurt. But we're not going to have that philosophical conversation right now. What we're going to have is the very basic conversation in front of us, which is there is a parole board that is trying to protect him, trying to protect the dangerous felon, not protecting the children under their constituency. I hope this goes viral. I hope that platforms that allow freedom of speech will share this to the world, because the world needs to see this. Connecticut needs to see this. I can't imagine that even those with their head in the sand would not be shocked and disturbed when they see this. You know, for those of you who are not familiar with this, being ranked 5 on the static 9-9, it's unheard of. They go out of their way to have low risk scores. Let me share the risk score with you just so you can get an idea. About 90% of those who we cover on these risk forums rank low. And there's a reason for that. One is, I believe it's designed to rank low. They want you to be ranked low. And 2 is the inmate gets to choose what information they get to share. So you can lie on your form and try to get ranked low. But when you have a long record, you can't lie anymore. And that's why I think he ranks that high here. So when you fill out a form, it's a 10-point questionnaire. And if you haven't seen this before, this will freak you out on its own. It's a statewide, all 50 states use this questionnaire. So it starts with question 1. What's your age? If you're age, by the way, 60 or older, you get -3 points. And fewest points, the better in this test. And I know anyone with common sense and a few brain cells will say that's insane. 60-year-old or older are still just as dangerous as someone 18 or 35. But no, they actually think you're -3. Now, he is born in, so he is, I don't know, he is 40, 50, he's about 55. So even with this advantage as a -1, he still ranks at high, which is pretty crazy. Have you ever lived with a lover for at least 2 years? I don't know his answer here, but remember, if you click yes, you get a 0 points, which of course we know doesn't make any sense, because those who seek out children often even marry a lover to gain access to their lover's children. Any non-sexual violence crime, which means have you been on they could be having CP. We don't see that in his jacket, so we click 0. Prior non-sexual violence, again, that can be a phone type of thing. 0. Prior sex offense, he does. We know that he has at least 1, so that means he'll get 1 point. But still, even with this, he's at a 0 score. He's still considered a low risk. So how is he going to get to the 5 points which he has, which would make him moderate high? It only goes up to 6 points. I'm not quite sure. But you can just try to do the math here. Okay, we're not going to go into it. But the idea that he now somehow needs to pile up on 5 points with prior sentencing dates, any non-contact, unrelated victims, stranger victims, male victims. I don't know how we get there, but there's a lot in his jacket that we don't have access to that only points to how scary this monster is. But really, the parole board is nuts. It's like as if they're playing some political agenda instead of protecting their children. Who cares about politics? The one person you're supposed to protect is not the inmate, but the children. Can you imagine showing up to your parole board hearing and saying, I can't guarantee that I won't offend again? There are things you can say where I can't guarantee that it might be appreciated with the honesty, but that's not one of them. You can't, if he had come on and said, and he was an habitual offender for DWI, and he said, I can't guarantee I won't drink and drive, they wouldn't have released him. If he was an habitual offender for dangerous weapons, and he said, I can't guarantee that I won't carry another gun, they would not have released him. But when it comes to children, they just don't care. They made their decision, they made their agenda, they made their loyalty They made it very clear what they care about. And this is sick. And I'm glad that we're able to expose it, see it for what it is. I can't imagine that there are people out there, regardless of political viewpoints, that would be okay with this kind of decision. The other people to blame would be the judges and the DAs. I'm not going to let them get off scot-free. This is a serial repeat offender. And what do? They give him a maximum sentence of 5 years. Flat. 5 years. For a repeat offender of children. Make that make sense. And with that, I'll let you go.
Feel so remorseful for the parent of the child that I made a mistake on, and I would wish to if she ever hear from you guys that to tell her that I apologize for that. At the time I wasn't thinking too well clearly, but since I've been in here and I learned about the sex behavior program and learn about the victims with the voices, that kind of gave me a clear mind to understand not to do the wrong from the bad. And that's the reason that I'm here, to see if there's any way possible God would bless you guys if you're able to allow me to go out to be with my family again. I can't say I promise that this not gonna happen, because that's not always a thing when you say, oh, I promise. No, I'm not gonna say I promise, but I will definitely try to do my best to keep myself away from situations like that again.
Throughout my life, I have learned that this man is dangerous. He is a pathological liar to the core, something that I've experienced firsthand my whole life, and he's a danger to himself and to society. I guess my last question to you all is, how many more children and women will he have to rape and molest for others to also get that message?